Yeah, guys, we are live.
Okay, okay. Hello, guys. Good evening to all of you. Uh, I welcome you all for this event. Okay, so now we have our chief guest as Sannat Mengi, and uh, I will again welcome you all for this event. Okay, on the behalf of PMX Udgam, I will offer my regards to you people who joined this event, and I really appreciate this also from Sannat Mengi side. And yeah, the event will be great with your support. And so okay,
I'll just take it from there,
yeah,
Ashish. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to the session. Thanks for joining in
yeah,
on a Sunday, especially, right? Uh, I'll quickly introduce myself first and what I wanted to cover for this
yeah,
session
sure,
and what you can expect from this session, right? So, hey everyone, I'm Sannat. I come from Jammu in Kashmir. Currently, I'm working as an APM2 at Flipkart. A little bit about my background. I graduated from IIT Delhi back in 2020 with a degree in biochemical engineering and a minors in design. Post that, I applied for the Flipkart APM program and got into the program. From that point onwards, uh, it was my introduction to PMing, so to say, and from there I started in fintech and payments group at
yeah,
Flipkart, where I was leading the gift cards product charter. And post that, in my second stint, as of now, currently I'm working in the central pricing and promotions platform for Flipkart, which basically decides the pricing and promotional capabilities that are served to users. So that's a very short, quick intro about me. Over to you, Ashish and Vanchita.
yeah, sure. Uh, okay, so let me give you the introduction about speakers and Udgam,
Ashish,
E-Cell, and
we are over that, I think. Vanchita, you can start with the questions.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Ashish. Uh, so let me start with the questions. So actually, sir, I wanted to ask that how would you describe your role as APM2? Like how it is different from APM1?
Got it. I'll just quickly start with a little bit of context there, about these roles and everything, right? So, usually, there are a couple of product managers in a company, right? For someone of the size of Flipkart, there would be uh, probably one product manager to 10 engineers. The ratio is 1 is to 10 broadly. And the way product teams are structured usually is that in a hierarchy level, or so to say, right? There's an APM, there's a PM, there's an SPM, there's a GPM, director, and VP, and so on, right? So this is what the hierarchy sort of looks like, and there, everyone till the point of a leader, like probably till the point someone becomes a director or so, everyone is a PM only. Okay, the role is very horizontal, right? There's no distinction as such that an APM would do this kind of a work only, and uh, probably an SPM would do that kind of a work, right? All of them are product managers, so to say, and everyone has the same goal or has the same end objective, to deliver products and to create impact or value, right? So that is how it is structured. And in terms of APM 1 and 2, in Flipkart, there's no such thing. It's sort of very flat, sort of an hierarchy, so to say. And it's not a sort of an utopian statement just to make or just to just brag about it that it's sort of a horizontal hierarchy. No, it really is. the work that I do as an APM, probably I can also do the same work if I become a GPM or someone as a leader. Even if I would have to put in some thought to some new idea or new feature, I can do that very well within my own restrictions and bounds, right? So that is how the role is divided, right? PMs are usually very generalistic folks who just look out for problems and solve them, so to say, right? The job description is very simple in that context. So that is pretty much about it. And specifically, when you talk about PMing, right now, since I've said that uh, the job roles are similar, or everyone is a product manager between all these hierarchies. So the question arises, what is a product manager, right? Uh, in the arena, right, there are a lot of definitions which are floating around, that it is sort of a conjunction of design, product engineering, or design engineering and business, and then it could be design, data science engineering and business. There are very different definitions, different contexts, right? But these things are ideally not the definitions or a description, right? If you just look at the word product management, there are two words, product and management. Management is like, as the word describes it, right? Managing anything, or doing anything new, or probably improving something, right? All of it lies under the aegis of management only. But when we talk about product, what is a product, right? A product could be anything. A product could be any small thing, or anything which solves a particular pain point or resolves something for a particular stakeholder is a product, right? It could be a smallest feature, or it could be a very big physical product. It could be a software product. It could be a B2B platform product, right? So ideally, there's no distinction between product as such. A product manager's role is very generic, so to say, or the definition is very simple, that a product manager is someone who solves problems, if I have to put it in that way, right? You just solve problems, and there are ways of doing it, right? Now the ways of doing it is by collaborating, efficient collaboration with design engineering, that you have to have the sort of those different components inside you. You should have a design caveat to your thinking too. You should have a engineer's mindset as well. You should also have a scope for business in your mind, right? That is the way of doing it, right? That is the way of collaborating and getting it done. But coming up with like a problem, or creating a structured problem and then solving it, but solving, coming to the right problem statement and then solving it, is largely what defines the roles of a product manager. Yeah.
So, sir, I have also one question. How you can handle product failure? How
Got
you
it.
can plan uh, behind the scenes for the product?
Right. So, ju- just to put it in some context, right? So, when we talk about failures, let's just think about, why do failures occur, right?
Yeah. Mm.
Very broadly, for a product, there are success metrics, and whenever there's some underachievement, or there is some sort of deviation from the expected behavior that you wanted to see, you would term it as a failure or a failed scenario, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so usually your job is necessarily not to build successful products, right? It is never the role, or it is never, the core job to build successful products. The core job is to build products, right? That's it. Uh, why I'm saying that is because a lot of times you would want to experiment on something, or you would want to try something out, right? That doesn't
Yes,
work
sir.
very
Mm.
well if, let's say, we are talking in context of, we want to ship brilliant products every time, or successful products every time, right? If companies or PMs are evaluated in such a manner, probably there'll be very few PMs left in this world, uh, because failure and understanding the risks, or like learning from failure, is a very important part of the job. That you understand things, and then you take that context, and then you take it forward, right? Not all of the things are supposed to succeed, but having said that, there are some things, or there are some caveats that you can look forward to, or you can follow these key tenets to make your product or your product adoption or your product life cycle successful, right? That starts with a very good level of product thinking,
Yeah.
or a very good problem understanding, right? So to say, a lot of times we are very solution focused. We want to figure out, or we want to, think on solutions first. It's not a crime to do that, right? It's usually the way our brains were built. We are not, destined to question everything that comes in a way, right? You won't have questioned it a lot that, hey, why do people use social media every day? Hey, why does fan move in that clockwise manner only? Or hey, why does TV LED is brighter than LCD? If even if you would have that question, you would seek answers to them, right? But understanding the problem better through a very product oriented mindset is the first part of building a successful product, right? And in that path or in that thinking process, yes, there could be some assumptions that could fall down, or there could be some, backlashes, but that's okay. I think that's nothing to be scared of. The best thing is to go out and do it, right? It's
Yeah.
just not to think about products, failures, or sort of the learnings or objectives or outcomes every time, right? You cannot quantify everything, even if you want to. So, yeah, in that sense, product failure is something, just to summarize, product failure is something that you can you can categorize as a, the input factors should be good. If the input factors are good, such as your product thinking or whatever time that you've spent on scoping the problem out, then the solution will have a high probability of probably not failing, right? But there are extrinsic factors as well which could lead them to fail. But that's okay. We should always learn and adopt and improve our product accordingly in the next versions or in the next life cycle of it.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay. So next question would be like how the role of an APM changes from a company to company, and
Got it. Yeah, I think that's a bit of a trickier question. I haven't worked anywhere else, to be honest, but whatever sort of views that I've got from folks across in the market and while talking to a lot of other people, I would have certain sort of opinions, so to say, but take them with a pinch of salt, right? Because these are just opinions. These are not something which is backed by data, or they can, which is like truth, right? Uh, so the way I've seen this is, a lot of companies treat APMs as sort of uh, uh, workers who can get your operational tasks done, right? Creating a Jira ticket, probably. You would have also seen all those LinkedIn influencer memes on Jira tickets and engineer rants and everything, right? So usually APMs are more to the operational product ops, right? Or product ops of things. Things are not very clear. There's like limited ownership which is given, right? Because a lot of things are usually at stake, and that makes sense as well. But yes, somewhere in some companies, right? If I have to just talk about companies, in some companies, the role of an APM is more around product ops or a product analyst sort of a thing, right? In some companies, it could be a full-fledged product manager. They would treat something like a Flipkart, right? They treat you as a full-fledged product managers. And some companies, they treat their APMs as a mix of both. 60% of the time they're doing one task, and 40% they're acting as a product ops person, right? But that's usually how broadly APMs are seen in the market. But having said that, there's a part of the team aspect to it as well. The team in which you work, right? If your manager is sort of very enthused about you, or you are very enthused about building out something, then you'll be definitely sort of given all those sorts of projects or things that you would want to do uh, in your role, right? But having said that, APMs are usually, product managers for us, right? Everyone is a product manager, as I said it. Even if you're an APM in a product ops role or sort of that direction, you're not writing full-fledged PRDs, or you're not writing the full-fledged documentation. It's not that you're not sort of built for it. It's just that you have to ask for it too sometimes. Companies might not proactively trust you. So that is one caveat to it. But I think, yeah, largely that is how role of an APM differs from company to company. And it is also dependent on your team as well, right? If you're going on in a data intensive team, or sort of you're solving for a very heavy B2B problem statement, there would be different things there. So yeah, that's largely about it.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, next question would be like, what do you love the most about the product management, and what is the least interesting aspect of it?
Okay, I'll take these in two parts, right? What is the first question? If you can just repeat that.
So, what do you love the most about PM, product management?
Got it. So the thing that I love the most about PMing is, I think it's creating something new, right? If I have to put it in very simple words, that's something that is not thought through, or something which is your own brainchild, right? While writing a new feature, or building a new product journey altogether, building a new dedicated product, right? Any incremental thing that you do, even if it is like building the smallest of the features, or doing sort of uh, big audacious things, the new creation aspect of it is like something which I love a lot, right? Because in order to create something, in order to create your brainchild, that's one of the toughest things that you can do, or you can probably work on. A startup is a similar example, right? They're building out a new product, or they're building out sort of a whole new arena for themselves. So that's why it's sort of challenging for them. So the same challenge is here. It's a very similar challenge that you would see, and that challenge is loved, right? Crossing that hurdle and getting anything done, or getting a very difficult thing shipped, or making something industry first, probably, right? It gives you that sort of happiness, or the aspect of the job that you would love a lot. uh, Coming over to the part which I believe the second part was, which is something which is least favorite.
Like least interested you are in which
Hmm.
you are least interested in.
I think, yeah, that is sort of a very personal thing, right? On that note, uh, I think collaborating with stakeholders, like explaining a single thing to 10 different teams from 10 different people, uh, like even if you would go to a meeting and explain them, hey, I want to do this, hey, I want to do that. Hey, I explained you this in our last meeting 2 weeks ago, and they're still like, I don't remember, right? Because for you, it might be very important. For them, it's just another thing or another feature, right? So, um, like pushing yourself or pushing your whole thing against a lot of stakeholders or with them as well, it is a very tedious task in any big company, or even any small startup for that matter, because everyone would have their own opinions, everyone would voice their concerns. uh, so that is a very difficult thing, right? Saying no to people and moving on, and like fighting for something, right? Literally fighting for something, get something done. So that is something that I love the least, but that is on a very personal note, to be honest, right? Some people love that aspect as well. uh, it could be very well the reverse thing for you, right? And that's perfectly fine and okay. There's no worries there.
Okay, so thank you, sir, for answering the questions. And with this, I would hand it over.
So, sir, finally, let's come to the $1 million question. Like, what does it takes to be a PM?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Hmm. I think that's sort of a very tricky question for me. Um, uh, I'll just try to answer this question very comprehensively, right? So when you talk about what it takes to become a PM, right, versus what a PM does, these are very two different things, to be honest. Uh, you're basically asking me, hey, like how do I reach the moon versus how do I build something on the moon, right? Till this point in our discussion, we are talking about how do we build something on the moon, like, right? We didn't discuss a lot about how to reach even to the, moon or to the destination we are talking about. So, and if I have to give a very quick answer, it doesn't take a lot to become a PM, right? PM is not someone, a lot of in last few years or something, right? This sort of role has been very, I would say, romanticized a lot between the tech firms. A lot of people love it. Like employees best, employees best choice of an employee would be a PM, right? That sort of a things, that sort of statuses that you would see across. So yeah, definitely a lot of buzz is there, but actually what you need to become a PM is not all those skills that are listed on the job descriptions. A lot of times, SQL, you should know Jira, you should know this, you should know that, right? If I have to put it very simply, it's just how you articulate a problem and how you solve it. That's it, right? And in that process there would be some sort of skills that would aid you in doing that in a better fashion. Those skills are SQL and Jira, but they're not the necessary skills to be honed, right? So if I have to just talk a little bit about my journey, how I landed up in product management and how a lot of folks that I've seen landed in product management, probably that would give a good idea to the audience as of now, that what is happening and how it is done and everything, right? So I when I started out in college in my second year, right, as most of the people are clueless, I was also clueless, and I was clueless till my fourth year. Just an FYI, I didn't know what I had to become, right, and I believe that a lot of people would face the same question, and they would be in agony that, hey, what do I need to do? What is my place in this universe? How will be defined? Or what do I do, right? And most of the people in despair, they can't think, right, because you are doubtful, there's a lot of uncertainty, so you go to your seniors, right, uh, and you try to replicate whatever they did in their past to do the same thing again, because it sounds lucrative and it is a better state than your current state. So hence everyone gets attracted to that proposition and everyone starts replicating others, right? uh, that is usually the scenario in colleges, how it is done or how a career is thought about, if I have to be very frank about it. But what I'm saying is, it's okay if you don't know what you have to become. It's a PM consultant, you want to become a software engineer, you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to conquer the world, you want to, I don't know, do anything, right? Build your own Star Wars world, anything. It could be anything, right? So the thing is, it's not always like fine to have a end-to-end clarity, right? What you as a student, or uh, you as a college folk should do is look for opportunities wherever you are interested. Do that, right? Very simply, do that, right? Problems are everywhere, so to say. Every job description tries to solve some problem itself, right? If there's a software engineer, there would be a description of, hey, you will be solving the problem of Flipkart grocery marketplace or something, right? If it's for a designer, hey, you would be designing for the next 200 million customers who are new to the internet, right? There is some objective attached to it. So these are very specific things, right? You don't have to think a lot about it. If I have to just share a quick story, right? When I was in my second year, I applied for foreign interns because that was the trend in our campus, and that is what that is what it would take your that is what it would take to make your second year summer successful or uh, fulfilling, so to say. And you could brag about your intern to other people probably, and on your LinkedIn as well, so something like that. uh, so I went in for a research intern, because not because I was interested in research, right? I'll be very honest, because I wanted to travel outside India. You don't get enough money from your parents to travel outside the country, right? So I used that path, and a lot of people use that path, very very honestly. And frankly, they were doing just like that. Then I went there. I went to Caltech for a while, and the problem statement there just engulfed me, right? If I have to share the problem statement, it's sort of a very technical thing. you have to increase the lifetime of synthetic cells which are growing in a dish, right? Like energizing artificial life. It sounds way too cool, right? Uh, but when I went there, there was no equipment. There's nothing. The things that they were thinking about hadn't been invented, or the equipment hadn't been invented, right? It's not that you would stop there, right? You would look for the exact problem again. Uh, you scope out the problem, and we try to solve it in a very jugadu manner, and it worked perfectly fine, right? After that, it was an year of exploration for me. It was like I started up with a few business ideas of my own within campus. One of them got incubated in IIT Delhi, and the another one was in the works, and it didn't quite work out well, right? But uh, in all those journeys, till the start of my fourth year, I realized that, hey, I enjoyed doing all of it, whatever I did, right? It had no objective, it had nothing, it had no strong motivation, but I enjoyed it. The key tenet there that I identified was that there's just a lot of problems, right? If you know how to solve problems in the best possible manner, that's all you need, right? That's all you need as a skill. Uh, Building is another part of it, but you think about it first. If you're able to think clearly, then you can build it in a better way. So that was something that I realized, and that pulled me towards very two sort of job roles: consultant, product, right? And aiming for both, right? Because in the campus you would want a job. That's it. In all that time, right? There was no intention to become a PM, right? And I'm not saying that you should not have an intention to become a PM and then you'll become a PM also. But what I'm saying is, in this whole journey that you do, right, look for opportunities always, look for other sorts of gaps which are there, look for things that sound interesting to you and work on them. I know this sounds very cliched, right? Work on your dreams and sort of do what you love, kind of a thing, right? But it's not really that. It's sometimes it could be just go with the flow, and you are realizing something and you are learning new things, right? That's it. So in the undergraduate life, try to focus on a lot of things. Try to take up a lot, because problems are everywhere and you'll encounter them in different forms and fashion. So my advice there would be, do everything right, and then you would have some idea that what you love and what you don't. It's important to have an idea to what you don't love. For example, for me, it was like coding, right? Even while I did code, but I didn't want to sort of set for all those sorts of jobs. Data science. I love data science, by the way. I love that whole arena even today as well. But I had decided that I won't go there, right? It's okay to like cut down on some things and then arrive there. Uh, and this is how you can just think about what do you want to do, right? And in that part specifically, there could be product management. And when we talk about product management, what it takes to be a PM, uh, like I said, right, two parts. Interviewing for a PM is very difficult, is very different than in working as a PM, right? So interviewing as a PM, India in my time had a very few opportunities. Flipkart APM program was one of them, and probably one or two other firms which hired for PM roles. Not the very prominent ones, but yes, they hired from campuses, and there were off campus, but the PM buzz was not at all there at that time. Uh, so through your campus, it's the most easiest path to discover PMing and get into PMing. If I have to advise or guide you folks, right? Or the second step or the second thing would be definitely through your personal connections, or working somewhere, or interning somewhere, or working in a startup, right? That should help, right, in getting you into this game, or getting you acquainted with how it is, or how it works, or what is the job looking like, or how can you go about exploring PMing as a full-time career opportunity. You would become, and you would network yourself within that circle too. So that sort of uh, builds your camaraderie in that area, right? So these two things, I think these two are enough to get anyone into product management largely. Adding on top of it, there's a process of interviews, right? So most of the companies follow very conventional interviewing process. It's usually something like there'll be a problem solving round, then there'll be a product thinking round, and then there'll be tech rounds, then there'll be probably a hiring manager round, right? Very conventional ones. If I have to just summarize what it means, is RCA is something that you are able to, RCAs are root cause analysis, right? That you are able to solve a problem through structure degradation and come to a hypothesis quickly, right? And that's a thing that you would learn along the way while you're doing cases, attempting a lot of case studies, interviewing and participating, right? Again, the part which is linked to exploration that I discussed earlier. Even I took a lot of a part in a lot of these case studies happening here and there and across. You would find it on a lot of platforms online within your own colleges, right? It sort of builds your confidence somehow too, right? So that is something which is related to the problem solving aspect of it, which will get you introduced to how to think about a problem, right? As of now, even if I give you a problem, most of the folks would be solution centered. I believe that, and I've seen that as well during evaluations or multiple sorts of hiring processes. So that is something which is there, right? But it's not usually the case that you have to be the perfect one. It's okay to be solution centric first, but understand your mistake or sort of understand how can you come up with something in clarity, right? So all these case studies and everything are a very good way to get yourself acquainted with these things. The other things are definitely there are competitions happening across. I believe there are a lot of PMing platforms dedicatedly now who are running some competitions, deck submissions, and everything. So do participate in a lot of them. Even if you're not doing well, you would learn from it, right? But you'll only learn once you do it. You won't learn just by thinking about it. Hey, I can build this deck very easily, whatever someone has just uploaded, right? It doesn't work that way. When you put in your own brain cells into work, that's when the actual learning would happen for you. Yeah, that was one aspect of it. And then there's this product thinking part, right? Product thinking is usually around the whys of things, or what's the product sense looking like. Product thinking is something like, hey, why does this thing work? Why do people love Netflix, right? There are particular strong product reasonings for it. The way they are offering their features is a way of is a way of manifesting what Netflix or how Netflix would have built it in their thought process, right? So all these sorts of things, hypothetical scenarios, if you have to design something for anyone new, right? All these sorts of things can kick in there. So combining these two and adding on top of it with sort of your journeys and explorations, I think that would make you sort of interview ready with any firm for a PMing role very easily. That is one aspect of it. And probably the easiest thing for campus folks to crack into PMing is through campus or through their own network or sort of their interns, right? It's the most easiest, it's the most easy way to break into PMing, so to say. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sannat. I guess you really stressed upon solving PM case studies and competitions. So there is one such competition called PMX, Product Management Expedition. It is organized by us, Udgam, at TESOL IIT Guwahati, and it is in association with Upraised. So PMX, let me tell you guys, PMX is the right platform for both newbies and veterans in product management to explore, learn, and experiment, basically in the cosmos of product world, that is. And you also stand a chance to win prizes worth 1 lakh rupees, internship opportunities, and much more. We will also share the details in with you in a couple of minutes, and the registrations links too. So, if you really want to grow as a product manager or to be a product manager, if you are serious about a product role, then I highly recommend you guys to participate in this competition. Uh, Over to you, Vanshita.
Oh, okay. So now we will open the session for the Q&A. So if you guys want to ask the question, you can raise your hands or drop your question in the chat box. Meanwhile, we also have questions from the YouTube live chats. So, okay, I'll be asking the YouTube questions first. So, Tanay is asking that how do we know that we are fit to be a product manager?
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's not the role of a president or a leader of a country or sort of, a very intensive role or a very skill oriented role, so to say, right? You're not like a chemical engineer who has a very, dedicated brain set or brain skills to solve for all those, chemical engineering related problems, petroleum issues, refinery issues, right? It's not like that. It's just that you have to be a generic problem solver that should do about it. There's nothing more to that, and it's very simple. Anyone can become a PM. I believe that anyone, like anyone, even if someone is 50 years old, they can also become a PM if they are sort of guided that way. Yeah.
Next, Muskan is asking, is the knowledge of coding necessary for pursuing product management career?
Okay. So coding is not necessary in PMing. Okay, I've seen lawyers as PMs as well, right? If I have to just tell you about the spectrum, I've seen like computer science graduates, like masters in computer science and all that too in PMing, and I've seen lawyers, right? Lawyers are someone who haven't even touched upon tech, probably after their second high school, right? So yeah, tech is not that important or coding is not that important. The only caveat there is that you should be able to relay or say which is something highly technical in very simple words, right? So that shouldn't involve the knowledge of coding, right? You can learn that along the way, how to read code blocks and everything. With your engineers, probably I did that. I learned some of the scripts and some of the things how they are run directly via the engineers present in my firm. So yeah, that's okay. Coding is not something which is necessary. On the tech end, it's just the ability to communicate. That's it.
Oh, okay. Over to you, Ashish.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to interact with Sannat sir, so you can raise your hand. He will give you a chance to have a small talk with Sannat sir.
It seems like nobody is interested in talking to me directly.
People are still writing questions on polls and
No,
both chats.
somebody has raised hands, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Am I audible?
Yes, Salil, you're
Yes, yes, you
audible.
are.
Actually, I already posted my question in the Q&A, but I'm just gonna ask it right here then. I wanted to know, are there any prerequisites for being a PM and that are like necessary or give a definite advantage over other applicants?
There's nothing like that, right? I'm a strong believer of the fact that PMing cannot be taught via courses or certifications, and a lot of good leadership or sort of good product companies already know that, right? Product thinking is sort of a mindset, it's sort of a problem solving uh, thing, right? Or the skills, right? The skills are more like very subjective, so to say, right? So that is very difficult to include in any cut certification or course or anything like that. There could be stakeholder management, execution. You cannot go in and learn 10 different things, right? And then say I've become a PM now, because for all those skills there would be a specific sort of requirement, or the need would be very different for every skills at every point of time, right? So it's not like that you need to go deep dive in every one of those and then you'll become a good PM, or there's a prerequisite like that. The only prerequisite is you're able to solve problems. That's it. Identify and solve problems in the most seamless manner, delivering impact. That's it.
So
And
could we say like innovation is an important factor into being a PM?
yeah, right. Innovation is one part of it. And like there are other parts of PMing as well. It's not that the job is very abstract or so to say. Yes, you do as you do two things only primarily as a PM, that you create new products and you maintain what is existing infrastructure. Probably in maintaining the existing infrastructure and maintaining your existing sort of product lines, there'll be 80% of time that would be spent there in execution, in maintaining things, in solving for customer key issues, right? uh, but that 20% that you put in building new things, or that 20% that you put into solving or thinking through, it also reflects on how the impact is delivered and how did the product succeed, right? So not a lot of specificity is required there. I think the way I explained it, right, explore a lot, right, see a lot of world, become a good generalist, probably, if I have to put in that sense, that would make you a
Having
good.
experience in a lot of fields.
Yeah, jack of all trades and master of some, if I
Yeah.
put it in that way. You should be a jack of all trades. You should be master of some of them as well. And it's okay to not be a master of any one of them as well. So that is more like PMing for you.
Thanks a lot. And I had posted another question. What are the fields could you transition into after being a PM? What are like similar fields that are related to that?
Yeah, so in PMing, there are a lot of great exit opportunities that are coming along the way, right? VC is one of them. Then PMing into another company is like that still holds true. Apart from that, you can even go for an MBA for that matter. But to be honest, after becoming a PM in a good role, you won't need an MBA. It reduces your need for an MBA if you directly jump from undergraduate level, or you're not shifting from another arena altogether, like you're moving from consult to PMing. It would be hard for you to move into PMing unless you're not an MBA. So that is one aspect of it. Then there are strong product strategy rules, right, that are seen across. Product strategists are someone who decides what should be built, right, at a company level, right? How should Facebook progress, not just at the feature level or charter level, but at a whole company level, right? You chart the whole strategy. And the other obvious exits are sorts of CEOs and entrepreneurship, right? A lot of PMs are seen becoming CEOs and becoming CPOs along the ladder. And the progression is pretty quick in product because the talent pool is sort of very limited. The supply is high and the demand is also very like sort of skewed for that talent. So a lot of demand for PMs along the way, right? And what I believe would be the best thing in PMing is that you won't need to exit PMing at all. Someone said this to me, that people exit people exit their jobs to become enter into PMing. They don't exit PMing at all, right? If I have to put it in that way. So yeah, the arena is pretty much good. Yeah, that is also one of the reasons that I chose PMing as a career. A
Thanks a
good
lot.
good optionality. Yeah. Thanks, Abdul.
So we also have Shashwat here. He also wanted to ask question.
Hi.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Shashwat. Yeah.
So I wanted to know that, as you said, the interviewing process or the selection process to become a PM is really different. So, is there any skills we need to focus on apart from the general things we all go through?
Yeah, see, there is no skill as such, right? So everyone can solve a case these days. Even if I tell you and give you a case, you'll be able to solve it, or you'll be able to, make some boxes and sort of arrive at a conclusion, or like do do come up with some hypothesis or something, right? That's all fine, right? What stands out between a good interviewee or a bad sort of an interview is the fact that what all things have they considered. Are they sort of end-to-end thinkers? Are they sort of voice of customer? Are they customer obsessed, right? All these sorts of small caveats added make you sort of a good candidate for PMing, right? Apart from that, there is nothing that would give you a higher edge, to be honest, right? If you can showcase yourself in the best way in the interview, nothing can do that, or nothing can supersede that. probably yes, in the CVs aspect of it, in order to crack into things, you might need relevant interns or relevant sort of experiences, but that can come along the way, right? When you're exploring all these things, there's no one single thing that would help you get into PMing, is what I'm trying to call it out. Like, have your sort of an experience, explore a lot of things, then you would have your own mindset, and you will be sort of uh, jack off a lot of trades as well at that point. So that should help you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now we will be taking questions from the chats. Um, Karan is asking, how has product role evolved with time? And what is the difference when you joined as an PM and your job now?
Yeah, to be honest, there's not a lot of difference, right? So just to give you folks a sense or a pulse of the APM, right? APM versus PM discussion, or this thing APM again. So it's just PM, right? For you, product management is done by a product manager. It could be an SPM, GPM, anyone, right? That's the first thing. And then uh, there, when you're talking about the evolution of role, right? So I had spent my time in two different teams. In my first team, I was asked to lead the gift cards product charter. Okay, now gift cards is sort of a 300 and 400 million dollars business for Flipkart, right? And sort of $1 billion business for Amazon. And when your competitor is sort of $1 billion player there, and you're just the only PM tackling everything at your end, it just presents the view of the ownership, right? That is given to you, right? Now, this is one sort of ownership, that I have got such a big charter under me, or there's so much sort of potential in growth. Then there could be other sides of the thing, right? The team that I'm working here as of now, there the metric which is important is how many units are customers ordering in a checkout, for example, right? It is very different from $1 million problem or a 300 $400 million problem. It's a very qualitative problem, so to say, right? It's not very business centric or business focused. It's just about very sort of central product central problem, that how would you shape behavior of someone that they are adding more things to the cart, right? So the thing is that as a PM, you would play different roles, or sort of wear slightly different hats every time. Somewhere there would be high sense of data ownership required, right? You would need to play a lot with data. Then in some places there would be a need to understand the technical context a lot, preferably in very technically oriented teams. Then there could be something else, right? Probably design aspect of it. So all those things can change with your team and sort of the place that you're going to, right? But the core remains the same. So if I have to answer the question, there's no difference as such. Just the objectives have changed, but there's no difference. The way I spend my day is largely the same.
Okay, so Ronit has raised his hand. Yeah.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Sir, I want to ask, if someone is completely new to the term PM, how is he able to explore this field?
Yeah, I think that's one way of doing it, is definitely to take some initiative and start working for it, or start working with someone who's working on something, right? That's the best way to get started on anything, right? Probably if you're, let's say, in your first year and you're saying that, hey, I want to become a PM, or I give me an intern for a PM, right? Probably no one would give you that intern, because they won't trust you, that you haven't seen a lot of things, right? But if you would have done all these things, or if you would have touched upon something where someone is building something, working in a startup, probably, or even interning anywhere for that matter, right? You could be a data analyst intern, but you excuse me, you could be able to identify a lot of problems there in the journey. That's okay, right? But this whole process, like, the only idea is to explore things, and then only that you will be interested with something, right? There's no central thing which PM does. There's no central skill that is required. It's a bunch of skills. So with all these generalist roles coming up and all this generalism sort of touching upon us, it's important that like you also explore a lot of things and the you get the outcomes accordingly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so next we have Gopi Krishna.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gopi, you're right.
actually, my name is Gopi Krishna. Actually, I'm an MTech student. So, like being an MTech student, is it going to be a little is it going to be a little disadvantage or like, can I see the dream of a project manager as a project manager? And
Yeah,
since I have a little bit like less time as compared to BTech students or undergraduate students in college life, so how should I approach with this?
Yeah. So, Gopi, if I have to just put your problem in perspective, right? There's no such thing as MTechs won't be hired or there's some lower affinity, right? In campus placements, yes, there is for companies who are specifically asking for undergraduate folks, right? Yes, there could be that sort of disadvantage there, if I have to put it in that way. But that shouldn't deter you, right? The best way would be, or the best way would be here to start off with at least something, or whatever sort of job goals you have in mind, but just enter into the industry, right, through any form or manner. It could be that you are not getting the exact PM's role, right, but that's okay. If you have to enter into PMing like at a later stage or within masters, the best thing is to join any company and then laterally move within that company to a PM role, rather than just focusing directly on I want a PM role only for a job, right? That could make things difficult, but it's not impossible to. I've seen a lot of people like switching to PMing from like totally different contexts. So yes, that's possible for sure. Just the thing is that you'll have to connect to the right folks and take it in the right manner. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, so the last question is from Sparsh. He's asking, how do recruiters identify a good PM?
I don't know that, to be honest. See, I don't even know what's a good PM, okay? Right? It's just that the things that you would have shipped are the metrics that tell a lot about you, right? The way you have done things. So probably your CV, if I have to answer your question very easily, right? Apart from that, a recruiter or an HR recruiter won't know the best skill, right? And even a hiring manager in just one round of discussion cannot close on any candidate. They do take multiple rounds and then they analyze, right? Everyone knows that there could be some a candidate could be high on some skills and less on the other front, given it is a plethora of skills that is required, right? So in that case, they just look for the optimum mix of skills which are there. That's it. There's nothing such as a like OG PM or like a great PM at all. That's it.
Okay, so thank you guys, and with this we are going to end our Q&A session. Over to you, Ash.
So thank you, Sannat Mengi sir. Your life is very inspiring, and thank you all of you guys for joining this session. And I really appreciate this. You can check out our website PMX, and also about also of the Udgam. Uh, PMX, about PMX, like it is a product case study competition. You can participate it, and you can learn more things about product management, as you are interested in product management. So with this, I conclude this session, and thank you all of you.
Thanks everyone for joining in and listening to me. If there's anything, please feel free to connect to me or drop me a chat or a text somewhere online. I'll try to respond to you as soon as possible and
Uh,
probably to help you.
Thank you very much, Sannat sir. For those of you who are interested in participating in yet another exciting product management competition, uh, I have put the link in chat box. You guys can go through it. Once again, thank you very much for joining in. We are closing the session. Thank you, guys.
Thanks everyone.